Welcome back. All right, so the game that got postponed between the Nashville Predators and the Colorado Avalanche has given me enough time that I can do this and get back in time to hopefully catch the start of the second period between Pittsburgh and Philly. But if I miss a minute, I can always catch up on what I missed. So we're going to talk about the early games. We're going to start things off with Carolina and Boston. I do understand the irony of a goalie interference video going live while there's a goalie interference discussion taking place online. So this one was Kochetkov versus Ullmark. The Bruins pressed the first shift, and an early whistle bailed out Ullmark. That puck was never under his control. The puck was then knocked in, but it was after the whistle, so it doesn't count. Bruins press at 3.5 minutes. Drury has a turnover opportunity. That was held. The Canes get a power play. They score on it. It's Nason on the power play from Aho and Svechnikov at 6:34, and it was a nice tip in front of the net by Nason. Bruins try to answer. The Canes press at 8.5 minutes. Ullmark holds there. Chatfield had a rush chance. That was held. The Canes press. That draws them their second power play, and they score on this one as well. It's Kotkaniemi with a nice goal from Jarvis and Pesce at 15:05. So nice pass by Jarvis, goal by Kotkaniemi, and there you go. Things are going well for the Canes. They're up 2-0. 3:22 left. There's a 4-minute power play for the Carolina Hurricanes. We then get 4-on-4 for 1:16, and Aho's trying to plead the case for the Hurricanes, and the referee yells at him, "Get out of here." So I thought that was pretty funny. And then with 7.5 seconds left, it becomes a 4-on-3 for the Bruins, which then becomes a 5-on-3 early in the second period. Krejci's denied during that. Everything's killed off there. Bruins go back to the power play. The Canes killed that one off as well. Bergeron then has a net drive that's defended as now Boston's picking up their game. The Canes press at 6.5 minutes. Aho's denied. There was a power play for Carolina. That was killed off by the Bruins. Pastrnak nearly gets one. The Canes press with 7 minutes left. Grzelcyk then had a screenshot. That was held. Bruins press. They couldn't get to the net, but in the final minute, they break the goose egg. It's Krejci from Pastrnak at 19:29, and it was a one-timer on a net feed by Pasta. So it is 2-1 Carolina after 2. Third period. Canes get a power play. Really aggressive penalty kill by the Bruins. They do manage to kill that off. Nason was denied. Then we get some punching. Ullmark was down on that play. Swayman would go in. Hopefully Ullmark's not in too rough of shape, but the Bruins have a couple days off, so at least by my reading, they don't play again until Tuesday. So hopefully that allows enough time for Ullmark to come back in. Bruins then get a power play. They're kept to the outside. That was killed off. Bruins score. It's waived for goalie interference. The Bruins challenge, and it's overturned. So Pesce puts Foligno in the crease. That's how I saw it anyways, which means the goal counts. It's Krejci from Zacha and Foligno at 10:27. Grzelcyk then had a net feed that was held as the Bruins go for the lead. Canes had a 2-on-1. That's broken up. With 1:01 left, there's a delay game call. The Bruins get the power play. So that rolls over into overtime. The Canes finish the kill. Aho was denied and close on a turnover. And the Bruins are turning it over a bit in the overtime. But then with 2:04 left, there's too many Canes on the ice. And it was an obvious one. They had to call it. So your power play marker is scored by Pastrnak from Marchand at 3:19. The Bruins come back from 2-0 down. They set a new NHL record, their 12th straight win at home to start the season. They go to 18-3 wearing their fantastic reverse retros. Carolina drops to 10-6-5. They've lost 4 out of 5 now, all in overtime, and that fifth was a regulation loss. So the shots, 16-9 Carolina in the first. I really thought the Canes were going to win this, and then Boston takes over 13-6 in the second, 16-11 in the third. Both teams had 3 shots in the overtime. Final shots, 41-36 for the Bruins. Power plays, Carolina 2 for 6, Boston 1 for 6. The hits, 27-25 for Carolina. Kochetkov saves 38 out of 41. Ullmark saved 28 out of 30, and then Swayman was perfect in relief with 6 shots saved out of 6. So nice to see Swayman get the win and Boston come back for the victory, and we'll see how things go from here. Next up, Calgary in against Washington. So the Flames are definitely having troubles. It's Markstrom versus Kemper in this one. The Flames press. They're kept to the outside, but the shots are 3-2 in their favor at 5.5 minutes. Honestly, they had a really good first period. Flames get a power play. That was killed off, and then Oshie, who appears to be a key guy for Washington on his return, from Gustafsson and Ovechkin at 7:56. That's buried on a rush opportunity. Flames push for an answer. The Caps then would press at the half. Sherry had a rush chance that was held. Kadri had a rush chance saved. And then Toffoli was denied on a net drive. So it's 1-0 for Washington after one, as Kemper was in the zone in that first period. Second period, shots are 3-1 for the Caps at 2 minutes, as they come out and played better in the second period. Strome has a shot that's blocked. Irwin then had a blast that was held. The Caps with some momentum. They would get a power play. That was killed off. The Flames rushed the other way. The Caps press. Johansson's denied there. Kemper, if he sees it, he saves it in this one. It's really a simple formula. Mantha fires one wide on a break. Gustafsson then had a rush chance that was held. I spelled it right here. Spelled it wrong there. It happens. Kuznetsov then scores his first in a while from Oshie and Milano at 16:37 as he's falling down on a net drive somewhere. A member of the Senators saw that and went, I can do that. So, 2-0. Spoiler alert, of course. 2-0 for Washington after two. Third period, Caps press at 2 minutes. Oshie fires one wide on a 2-on-1. Backlund then had an opportunity that was blocked out. Not much room for Calgary, though they lead in shots 4-2. 7 minutes into it, the Flames get a power play. Zadorov has a blast that's saved as it ends. The Caps then get a power play. Ovechkin fires one wide. There's a good cycle, and then from his spot, he scores. Ovechkin from Sherry and Milano at 12:24. And I've seen a lot of people say, well, he scores from the same spot all the time, as if that's some kind of a problem. And the reality is, yeah, he scores from that spot all the time. The fact that teams can't prevent it tells you how good he is at it. So your final score is 3-0 for the Caps. They go to 9-10-3. They're almost back to 500. Wearing their reverse retros, as most teams wore their reverse retros at home today. Apparently Anaheim didn't get that memo. But Calgary's 9-8-3 with the 3-0 loss. Your shots in this one, 15-6 Calgary in the first. It's 13-6 Washington in the second. 11-6 Calgary in the third. Final shots 32-25 for the Flames. Power plays Calgary 0-2, Washington 1-2. The hits 36-28 for the Caps. Markstrom saves 22 out of 25. Kemper saves all 32 shots for his 27th career shutout. So that's pretty good. Pretty good appearance for him, and we'll see whether or not the Caps can get back to 500 in their next game. All right, Montreal in against Chicago. This ended up being an entertaining game, and very often when you have teams that nobody's expecting much about and they don't have pressure, you get an entertaining game. Montembeault versus Soderblom. Montembeault's starting to earn extra starts now, and I think today might make his case even more. So good early back and forth, but at 3:21, it's Edmondson with a nice offensive play. He tips it. First shot of the game, Monahan with the assist, and there you go. It's 1-0 Montreal. The Hawks press at 7.5 minutes. Anderson was then robbed in close by Soderblom. Shots are 6-5 for the Habs with 4 minutes left. Domi's denied from a sharp angle. With 1:53 left, the Hawks get a power play. Seth Jones fires one wide, or good cycle. So to start the second period, easy finish of that kill by the Habs. Then they get themselves a press. Anderson's denied again. He's going to have visions of that glove hand in his nightmares. Hawks press at 3.5 minutes. Kane then had a shot that was held, and then Caleb Jones ties it from Dickinson and Kara at 5:53. Doc nearly answers. The Habs get a power play, and they score on it. It's Suzuki from Matheson and Monahan at 7:22. Good shot. Suzuki was wide open. Every Blackhawk was cheating over to cover Caulfield, and so Suzuki had time to walk in and snap it home. Shots are 7-4 for the Habs with 9.5 minutes left. The Hawks get a power play. Good cycle, get some chances, but that's killed off. The Hawks press afterwards. There's another Hawks press with 5 minutes left. There's a near miss then for Gallagher on a rush opportunity. The Hawks go back to the power play. Short-handed break for Monahan. He hits the post, but they did kill that one off. So we're going to the third period, 2-1 for Montreal. Caulfield's denied on a one-timer. The shots are only one apiece at 3.5 minutes. Hawks are turning it over a bit. Slavkovsky then gets shaken up on a play that drew the attention of his line mates. Then we get the Hawks pressing at 9 minutes, I should say. Habs shot blocking, doing a good job protecting the net at that stage. There's a press by the Habs with 5.5 minutes left, but the Hawks end up getting a power play, and they score on it. It is Radish with his 5th of the season from Kane and Taves at 16:06. Seth Johnson's then had a rush chance, but he was blocked out. So we have to go to overtime. Second of the first 3 games goes to overtime. Hawks control early. Kane then has a shot that's blocked. Athanasiou had a rush that was saved. Too many Hawks on the ice, so the Habs get a power play, but that was killed off. And so we have to go to a shootout. Montreal's 3 for 3 on the shootout. Caulfield, Suzuki, and Kirby Dach. Of course, it's Kirby Dach that scores the third goal to end it. Your final score is 3-2 in the shootout from Montreal. They go to 11-9-1 with the victory. For Chicago, they're 6-10-4. Honestly, the reverse retros for them look pretty nice. I think Chicago's look okay. So the shots in this one, 8 apiece in the first, 15-9 Chicago in the second, 8-5 Chicago in the third, 1 apiece in the overtime. Final shots, 32-23 Chicago. And I say they're okay because I know there's a lot of people don't like them. I've ranked them low on the reverse retros, but they look fine. Power plays 1 for 2 for Montreal, 1 for 4 for Chicago. The hits 23-13 Chicago. Montembeault 30 saves on 32 shots, very good. Soderblom had 21 saves on 23 shots. He was pretty good as well. All right, next up, Toronto in against the Minnesota Wild, and yes, I'm using a Minnesota North Stars magnet because they were wearing those reverse retros, which really honestly they look almost identical to a Minnesota North Stars jersey by design. Sadly, I can't wear the North Stars jersey for this review because you can see the score. Murray versus Fleury. So it's 2 goaltenders who played together in Pittsburgh. You may have heard of how this worked. Fleury ends up going to Vegas because they decided to protect Murray. Murray ends up going to Ottawa, and now they're against each other, one playing for Toronto and one playing for Minnesota. So they're not even with the teams that they were jettisoned from Pittsburgh too. Bunting fires one wide on a rush, but then at 3:42, Marner keeps his point streak going from Liljegren and Tavares. It was a face-off win, and it was a nice tip in front by Marner. It was tipped in front, but I think it went off Dumba. It's still Marner's goal. Shots are 4-3 Wild at 6 minutes. There was a press by Minnesota then at 7 minutes. The Leafs, though, they get a power play. Near miss for Matthews. That's killed off. The Wild, they press, draws them a power play. The Leafs don't let them set up until Kaprizov scores in the latter parts of that power play at 12:01 from Eriksson, Ek, and Zuccarello. So you've always got to watch Kaprizov. But then on a turnover, Aston Reese goes 5-hole at 12:43. And so Aston Reese scores against Fleury, and he scored against Pittsburgh this year. So against former teammates, he's pretty good. And this was a goal that clearly rattled Marc-Andre Fleury. One thing I noticed when I was in Vegas and watched a couple of Fleury games, he doesn't like it when a goal goes in behind him. He takes it really personal. So it's 2-1 Toronto after 1. Second period, Boldy would score from Goligoski and Greenway at 2:38. The Maple Leafs then try to answer that. Sandin has a shot that's kicked aside. There's a near miss for Zuccarello on a 3-on-2. The Wild with some momentum. The Leafs press at 9.5 minutes, and eventually they score. It's Yarncroke from Giordano and Tavares at 10:04. So with all the injuries on the blue line, some guys are going to get more ice time. That includes Giordano. He's on the board. Shots are 8-2 for the Leafs with 9 minutes left, so they're playing quite well. Leafs get a power play. That's killed off. They then press again with 3.5 minutes left. 2:29 left. The Leafs get another power play. So they had some opportunities today. There's a shorthanded break for Dewar. He's denied. We get some pushing after that. The power play was killed off with 0 shots generated by the Leafs. Third period, Reeves fires one high on a rush. Murray pushes the net off, but no call. And honestly, there are goalies that do this. Murray's not the only one, where you feel the post and then you nudge it off. Is it supposed to be a penalty? Yes. Can referees miss that? Absolutely. Yep. Going back to the 80s. And I want to say again, Andy Moog was good at that. There's a lot of really crazy opportunities, and they can't get the puck out. Whoops, Moog knocks the net off. Wild press at 4 minutes. If you're old enough as a Habs fan, you're shaking your fist right now. Power play then for Minnesota. There was a shorthanded break for Aston Reese. That was saved. The power play's killed off. But Nylander, he scores from Bunting and Mete at 13:28 after a good press by Toronto. So Toronto doing their best not to lose the lead like they did in the Islanders game the other night, like they were threatening to do against New Jersey. So the goalie gets pulled with about 4.5 minutes left, and eventually Minnesota gets a goal to make it closer. It's Zuccarello from Kaprizov and Goligoski at 16:26. In the final minute of this game, absolute heroics by Matt Murray to end this. So Toronto holds on. They win it 4-3. They go to 12-5-5. Minnesota drops to 9-9-2. But boy, did they look good doing it, wearing those North Stars themed jerseys. So your shots in this one: 12-10 Minnesota in the first, 11-6 Toronto in the second, 10-7 in favor of Minnesota in the third. Altogether, the shots are 28 each. Power plays: Toronto 0 for 3, Minnesota 1 for 2. Hits 22-12 for Minnesota. Murray saves 25 out of 28. Fleury saved 24 out of 28. And there, you've got your matchup between Murray and Fleury, yet again. All right, next up, Ottawa and Anaheim. Boy, did Ottawa need this, right? So it was Talbot versus Stolarz, and Chabot is back. Now, I don't know that Chabot's the reason this game ends up this way. I think part of it is just Anaheim coming off of a win. They just didn't have the momentum. It just wasn't there for them today. So the Ducks get an early power play. That's killed off. But the shots are 4-0 for Anaheim at 4 minutes. So the Sens were a bit flat to start this one off. The Sens, though, they press at 6 minutes. The Ducks then press back with 9.5 minutes left. Power play for Anaheim. Things get pushy after a hold by Talbot. Power play's killed off. Then the Sens get a power play and they score on theirs at 16:24 on a good cycle and buried by Tkachuk. Batherson with the assist and Chabot with the secondary assist. So Chabot back in the lineup and on the scoreboard. Ducks look for an answer. However, at 18:19 on a cross-ice pass, Brassard tips one in. Joseph and Sanderson with the assist. So there's Sanderson on the board too. And so it's 2-0 Ottawa. The Ducks press. They nearly get a goal out of that, but they don't. 5.1 left. The Ducks then draw themselves a power play. So that rolls over into the second period. It's killed off. 2 shots. That left Anaheim 0 for 3. They would get other opportunities, though. As Gord Miller said during this game, they're going to have to oil the hinges on the penalty box doors because they were utilized quite a bit today. So Jones has a net drive that saves. Stützle goes beast mode, but he gets blocked out. Then there was a near miss by Stützle from the slot shortly thereafter. Sens get a power play. DeBrincat nearly gets one. Doesn't. Killed off. Ducks press at 8 minutes. Watson has a fast break. That's defended. Tkachuk was denied on a 2-on-1. Sens press at the half. They end up drawing a power play, and they score on it. It's Stützle from DeBrincat and Batherson at 10:29. So Batherson with a couple of helpers. And, yeah, so there you go. Then we have the Sens go back to the power play. That one was killed off by Anaheim. But not long after it's done, at 14:54, Zub scores. So that's a popular one with me. I love Artem Zub from Brassard and Joseph. So Brassard with a goal and an assist today. Then there's a too many men on the ice call on the Ducks. Again, it was an obvious too many men call. Sens go to the power play. We then ended up with a fight between Tkachuk and Strome. Who had that on their fight card for today? At any rate, it is 4-0 for Ottawa after 2. It's a laugher in favor of the Sens. It has to feel weird for Sens fans. Third period, 53 seconds left in a Sens 5-on-3 to start. That all gets killed off. The Ducks then get a power play. That was killed off. Then the Sens with some pressure, they get a power play and they score on theirs. It's Joseph who scores as he's falling down. So it's the second goal today with the guy falling down. Brassard and Pinto with the assists at 6:49. That's 3 points for Derek Brassard. Well done. Sens press with 8.5 minutes left. It's really all Senators at this point. Ducks get a power play. They really couldn't set up. Then there's a post for McTavish just as it's coming to an end. Ducks score. There's a goalie interference challenge, but this one counts. So Jones scores from White and Beaulieu at 17:10, gives the Ducks a power play. It ends up being a 4-on-4, and things were getting really kind of testy late in the game. So you could see players in the closing seconds kind of arguing with each other as they're going up the ice. And that continued after the horn with them kind of facing off like a West Side Story minus the finger snapping. And there wasn't any cool dance number, which is too bad. But at any rate, Ottawa wins this one 5-1. They improved the record to 7-12-1 for the Ducks, 6-14-1 with the loss. The shots in this one, 13-7 Anaheim in the first, 18-8 Ottawa in the second, and 11-8 Anaheim in the third. Final shots, 33-32 for the Senators. Power plays, Ottawa 3 for 8, Anaheim 0 for 6. The hits, 15-10 Anaheim. It felt more physical than that. Talbot, 31 saves on 32 shots, was fantastic. Stolarz, 28 saves on 33 shots. I don't know how many of those he was expected to get, but at any rate, that's it. You guys are all caught up in the early games. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. And think of it this way. It shortens the review video later, and then the preview video for tomorrow I can get done sooner as well. So there you go. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.